Wow. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Holcomb. Thank you for stepping up to answer the call of the state of Indiana and this country once again. Chairman Cardwell, members of the State Republican Party, Senator Dan Coates, Congressman Todd Young, members of the Indiana delegation, Speaker Bosma, Speaker Long, members of the General Assembly, state and local elected officials, the veterans who are among us, delegates, my fellow Republicans, I'm Mike Pence. I am the governor of Indiana, and we are 149 days away from a great victory for the people of Indiana and all the people of the United States of America. And it all starts right here, right now, when we resolve today to re-elect and elect strong and principled Republican leadership from the State House to the White House. Now that the primaries are over, it's time to come together. It's time to come together around the people that were the people's choice. And let me say from my heart, for the sake of our troops who deserve a commander-in-chief who will have their back, for the sake of working Hoosiers and job creators who need Washington, D.C. off their back, for the sake of the sanctity of life and the Second Amendment and the Supreme Court of the United States of America, we must resolve today that Indiana will be the first state on the board to make Donald Trump the 45th President of the United States of America. And we must also resolve that the era of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton is over once and for all. Now, this really is an exciting time to be a Hoosier, especially a Republican. With record employment, a national reputation for fiscal responsibility, a pro-business environment, Indiana's on the move. And we have a chance. We have a chance to accelerate on the success of our state. But Hoosiers have a choice to make. And let me be clear, as my lieutenant governor just was, it is a choice. Now, my opponent likes to say that this race is about my record. And he's half right. This race is about my record, and it's about his record. And whether his friends in the media like it or not, we're going to make sure every Hoosier knows John Gregg's record before Election Day. You know, he was a lobbyist for much of the last 10 years, but John Gregg spent 16 years in the General Assembly, where he actually served as Speaker of the House. And his record of deficits and debt and higher taxes and neglect couldn't be more different from the past 12 years. Now, you might have just heard a few minutes ago, my opponent has been pretty critical of my predecessor. But let me say from the bottom of my heart, I believe Mitch Daniels was an outstanding governor who transformed the state of Indiana for all the people of this state. He balanced our budgets, he reformed our schools, he made Indiana the first right-to-work state in the industrial Midwest, and on that firm foundation, we went to work 4 years ago. We balanced two budgets, maintained strong reserves. It was a Republican legislature and a Republican administration that made record and historic investments in traditional K-12 education. But we also expanded choices, from early childhood education to what is the largest educational voucher program in America, and we became the first state in the country to make career and vocational education a priority in every Indiana high school again. We've invested more than $2.5 billion in the crossroads of America, and after doing all of that, we were still able to pass the largest state tax cut in Indiana history, and the results speak for themselves. Unemployment in the last 4 years since I last stood at this podium with you has dropped from over 8% to a little more than 5% today. the lowest in 14 years. 150,000 new jobs have been created by businesses in Indiana, large and small. Record investment by companies like GM, GE Aviation, Rolls-Royce, and Salesforce. And just a couple weeks ago, CEO Magazine listed Indiana as the #1 state to do business in the Midwest and one of the top 5 best states in America to start a business, grow a business, or get a job. Test scores are up, graduation rates are up, and we achieved the one goal, the one overarching goal that I expressed 4 years ago at the convention where you nominated me as governor. I said to you that day, before I would reapply for this job, I had one objective. I wanted more Hoosiers going to work than ever before in the history of this state, and for 10 consecutive months. Because of Republican leadership, we have record employment all over the state of Indiana. You know, that's a record every Hoosier can be proud of. Now, my opponent's record is just a little bit different, okay? Where we've balanced budgets and maintained strong reserve, Speaker John Gregg took Indiana from a $2 billion surplus to $800 million in deficit. Where we've cut taxes every single year that I've been your governor. In fact, by 2020, the tax cuts we've signed into law will actually leave $3.5 billion in the pockets of working Hoosiers. Where we've cut taxes every year, Speaker John Gregg voted to raise taxes, increasing the sales tax, and he consistently opposed cutting corporate and business taxes on job creators in Indiana. Where we've made record investments in education, innovation, and choice, Speaker John Gregg actually was part of leadership that delayed payments to our local schools, creating hardship on those that teach our kids and administer our schools. And where we said no to Obamacare and state exchanges and reform Medicaid, Speaker John Gregg actually said that Obamacare was good news and a game changer. And where we've stood strong for life, liberty, and the Second Amendment, John Gregg has made more left turns than Mario Andretti and A.J. Foyt combined. So, my fellow Republicans, we have a choice to make.